You're listening or watching to my various book, and in this episode I'm going to talk about backend developer into the frontend world madness. Being half backend full stack developer, I cannot stop myself from looking at the frontend world as some kind of madness. Mindless madness. I've talked about concepts that are renamed and re-implemented into new places with different APIs, the same design patterns, the same concepts, but different packages, different wrap-ups, and I cannot stop looking at them like madness, learning the same stuff, the same concepts again and again and again. In this article, I'm gonna include a few more items in this video or audio podcast, wherever you are listening to me. So, backend approach in the frontend. The backend developers often don't care about the size of the systems in terms of megabytes. This is because once an app is deployed on the servers, it just runs without additional bandwidth that is required to the client. So following this approach has made front-end applications fat. Out of megabytes need to be transferred to the clients for an app to work. And all frameworks are starting and are searching ways to improve this, from Angular, React.js, Flutter, Google Web Toolkit, and other old frameworks also. So having megabytes of JavaScript is generally, and not only generally, a bad idea. But even in the the mobile devices actually improved in terms of speed, and there is an incoming 5G technology, so who cares? Front-end code structure. Modularization of software layers is one point. Some of the frameworks embrace software layers from the get-go, and I mean layers like that are common with the backend, like model, data access, service, some kind of view model or controller layer, and some binding to the UI or to the HTTP protocol on the backend side or to some external system. So there is a layer that connects the application to the external worlds. There is a service layer that handles the actual logic, and there is data access and model. So this is common code structure that probably could be viewed in many places, in many frameworks. So Angular from point 2 and above have embraced this approach, at least what I have seen. Flutter is also, when you are using Flutter with a library, or if you design your app this way, you could also be counted in this first group of items, this first group of well-architected front-ends. But the other types are semi-modularized. React is currently what, at least what I have seen, is semi-modularized framework, in my personal opinion. Componentization of the user interface is good. Okay, they are doing that very good. But what I've seen is functionality that is mixed inside the visual component, and rarely a model is separated or some data access is separated or something else. There are a lot of examples on the internet and none of them touch this. Many Flutter developers also don't separate and organize code. The old way with jQuery and other is probably the most non-structured way of organizing stuff. Another mind-blowing thing is organizing user interface code in functions. The new Jetpack Compose promotes this way of organizing user interface components and widgets. The same Flutter developers that I have mentioned above also try to shorten the build function that has incoming parameters of build context. So they try to shorten this function by extracting user interface pieces in functions. So goodbye object-oriented programming, which is mind-blowing. Modularization of features layers in layers of submodels and of features. In the old ages of the internet, the code in each subpage or section was separately loaded onto the browser. Nowadays, the frontend is the master, so there are endless number of single page applications that are getting bigger and bigger. So this is because they try to embrace and to package a full app inside a single page. There are pros and cons to that, but doesn't matter. So have a solution to this problem is code splitting implemented in many front-end frameworks. I've seen this in Google Web Toolkit, Angular, in the Dart language that is used for the web. So this is half a workaround that tries to minimize the initial JavaScript code that is executed before an application starts. Code frontend as installable application. The browsers nowadays allow users to install a web page as application or program. The operating systems are or will allow in the future will show web pages as native applications. One aspect that I rarely see in the today internet world is the actual truly offline support, and this doesn't mean showing a static web page that does not function at all to the user. This is not a good user experience. No internet connection is not good user experience, and it's not a good web page. It is the easiest and the most lazy approach that from a developer point of view. I agree with that, but there are probably some functions that could function only and truly online, like authentication, for example. But not everything. Sorry, guys. Try to implement some functionality online, And one thing that on the front end side could help you implement offline functionality is the database in the browser. The index database that I have invested some time in generating CRUD operations about it, and I have written articles also about it. So of course it requires time and effort, but if you want truly an application from your